After 10 years of trying to convince us that black criminality is not a thing, after 10 years of trying to cajole us into believing that it's not about black criminality, it's really about white racism that's causing the black criminality. Yeah, you know, the criminality that does not really exist. So on one hand, they're saying it doesn't exist. On the other hand, they're that same breath, they always tell us why the thing that doesn't exist really exists. After 10 years of that, the chickens have come home to roost. All over the country, increasingly desperate public officials are looking at their cities, they're looking at their schools, and they're saying the crime in these chocolate cities and in these chocolate schools is out of control, and we don't know what to do. Except, of course, trying the same thing over and over and over again that got us into this mess in the first place. Let's take a look at a few clips from around the country about how public officials are getting increasingly desperate with this out-of-control black criminality in their cities and in their schools.
Violence in Cleveland. Is it out of control? Earlier this week, 8 young men got into a gunfight on a busy city corner, and a 7-year-old girl was caught in the crossfire. Joining us tonight, Councilman Mike Polensek from Ward 8. Councilman, thanks for being with us.
Great, Chris.
Let me walk through a conversation I had with you about 10 days ago. I called you after we got word that a priest was shot in your neighborhood, or shot at. Turns out it was a priest that you know very, very well, a parish you belong to.
That's exactly.
And then we have this story of this little girl getting caught in the crossfire just a few days later. Give me your sense of where we're at and where we need to go.
I think we're in big trouble in Cleveland. When I came on that scene Tuesday night and watched the video, I watched it 4 times to see 8 men with automatic pistols, including an automatic assault rifle, just stand there willingly on a corner, 4:45 rush hour, and just blast away at each other without any fear, without any concern for the community. With total disregard, told me that the streets of Cleveland are totally out of control.
Let's take a look at some video from one of these scenes that we were talking about, because this kind of adds a little perspective, gives folks a sense of it. If we can roll this videotape in the control room. This is the scene from the priest, the church, your parish, which is
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, you know it well. And the father there who was shot
Father John
at,
Coombsey.
You know him well.
Yes.
Now we go to the next scene, which was just a few days ago, which is the scene you're talking about, of the gunfire. What exactly are you proposing? We've heard council people, we've heard mayors over the years. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of blather.
Exactly.
What specifically do you want to do?
Well, clearly, council, we can't hire, we can't fire, we can't deploy. That's up to the mayor.
Okay.
Clearly, the deployment levels in the Cleveland Police Department have shrunk to an all-time low.
And the reason for that is?
Because they don't have the people.
People want to be cops, though, don't they?
But they didn't bring them on. They didn't set the test. There was a great miscalculation as to how many people they needed on and how many people were going to retire.
So the math, somebody did bad math, somebody did bad projecting?
Kidding. Somebody couldn't add, I'm telling you.
So the problems in the past, how do we fix this as fast as humanly possible?
They have to bring on more police, but until they come on, we have to do something to augment the police. So I've asked the mayor to ask the governor, the attorney general, let's utilize highway patrol. Let's bring up the highway patrol to offset the Cleveland Police. Let's move people out of the traffic unit, out of some of the other units. Let's put people on the street. That's what we need. The 2 greatest deterrents to criminal activity in our city, Chris, are an engaged citizenry and police visibility, police deployment. Unless you put people out of these streets, we're not going to arrest our way out of it. We're not going to arrest our way out of it. We're not going to arrest our way out of it. What we have to do is stop crime from happening, and you do that with people out in the street.
I have 10 seconds. I'm going to talk about this for a half hour. How likely is it that you're going to be able to get the state to cooperate and put some state troopers on the streets of Cleveland?
Well, it's going to be up to the mayor to ask that, and I'm hoping that he'll step back and realize that what you're seeing in this carnage, 122 homicides, we're on a roll to a record again. We have a higher per capita homicide rate than Chicago and New York. Something is terribly wrong with that picture.
Well, please keep us posted on how this goes. We want to follow this very closely.
Well, I can assure you I'm not backing off.
Okay.
This is about my community, and it's about a city that I love.
Hey, Janelle, Andrew, to find out exactly how many teachers have been injured at the King School in the past year, we had to file an open records request with Pittsburgh Public Schools. We received that information, and what it revealed, as you can see, and as we'll show you in this document, was that multiple teachers have been injured in 2017, almost 10 of them during student fights, student altercations, and here at the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers headquarters, the union president says that is unacceptable.
One teacher assault or teacher being hurt is too many.
But it turns out that 7 different teachers have been hurt at King Pre-K through 8 on the north side from January through October. One teacher injured this year off school grounds was Janice Watkins, who was allegedly followed from the school by a parent who then brutally beat her so badly she still hasn't returned to the classroom.
The attack by a parent was absolutely blatant. I mean, you can't. Following the teacher, that you must admit that was a really scary, unheard of event.
And so teachers were emotionally just afraid?
Absolutely.
2 more highly publicized staff injuries followed. Nina Esposito-Vizgaitis describes outrage among teachers to a level she hadn't seen in 37 years.
If teachers are afraid to teach at the school, I would assume kids can't really learn.
Oh, absolutely.
The union says they've worked with teachers and the district to make changes, including more security guards, better parking lot lighting, and mindfulness training for staff. The district tells us that since October, they've arranged for de-escalation training for staff, which started November 1st, reestablished the school's parent conference visitation protocol, and approved additional mentoring support for students. The union's hopeful these actions will lead to fewer teachers ending up in the hospital.
We're continuing to work with the teachers and the district to make sure that that kind of event never occurs again, and these numbers, we want them to get down to 0.
And while Watkins has not yet returned to King, a different injured teacher has returned, as well as a injured security guard. Those 2 have both gone back to the school.
People about crime in Columbus today. He joins us live outside Shooters. That's a shooting range. And Tony, so what are people saying as these numbers continue to go up?
Yes, Barbara, it's been a lot of mixed reaction. A lot of people are afraid, and others are just flat out frustrated with the fact that these crimes are happening so late in the year. They're still seeing all these different crimes happen, and many people in the community told me that this needs to stop, whether it be by law enforcement or by self-protection.
Members of the community say that with the number of homicides being so high this year, it's concerning.
Honestly, it's kind of scary. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Shaquille says that he's been through his own experience of crime, and that led to him getting a gun to properly defend himself.
Yeah, me personally, like I had my own incident like a year and a half ago. Like some people robbed me in Atlanta, and then like ever since then, I bought a pistol. And, like I've been training.
One woman told me that getting a weapon is the only surefire way to make sure you're safe in Columbus.
In all reality, unless you own a gun, you're not going to be able to defend yourself. They don't care. They're going to come in shooting.
Employees at Shooters told me that business was very slow before the shooting at the pawn shop on Fort Benning Road. They saw an increase of customers when the news broke. She also says that people have lost their way in Columbus and that the city is growing more and more dangerous with little regard.
I refer to it as Little Chicago. This city is becoming more and more violent every day. People seem to have lost their way. You know, they have no regard for human life anymore.
And I talked to other people in the community who didn't want to go on camera, and they told me that normally you see stuff like this, those crimes happening at night in secluded areas, but now you're starting to see them more prevalently during the daylight at random places. So that caused them to say that they're more likely to get a weapon as well to defend themselves.
Those kids need us, and that's why we're here.
Teachers in a local school district say they're just trying to do their jobs, but they need help. Things have gotten so bad that some teachers in the Harrisburg School District say they have had it, and dozens more have just up and quit. We're glad you're with us here at 11. I'm Rob Hanrahan.
And I'm Jasmine Brooks. So it's supposed to be about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but teachers say that right now they're leaving the classroom battered and bruised. CBS 21's Erica Such was at the meeting tonight where it wasn't just the teachers asking for help. Erica.
Robin, Jasmine, emotions were high inside this school board meeting tonight. The district says they're working on a plan to get teachers help inside the classroom. However, teachers say it's just not happening fast enough. First grade teacher Joanna Brown.
Are we getting hurt? This bruise is from last Friday.
Describes a day in her classroom.
She will kick and hit her classmates. She will throw the entire contents of her desk at every single student just to get attention.
The emotional plea to the school board for help alongside fellow teachers.
I have been kicked, punched, hit, scratched. I have had a student physically restrain me in front of my other students, grabbing my arms from behind where I was unable to move.
Educators asked the board for more training when it comes to mental health and trauma situations, along with better communication. Parents, grandparents pleading too for these elementary students and their teachers.
She needs help. The kids in her room are someone was out of control. How you supposed to be sitting there working and you going underneath another child's desk with a permanent marker, writing up permanent all over their sneakers?
Since July, the Teachers Association says more than 40 teachers have left the district. The district claims a variety of reasons, including retirement, but acknowledges there is a problem.
So we know there is a different type of support that is needed. And we are also working with other agencies like Presley Ridge and others to help and to address these problems.
They say they're willing to create a task force, something the Harrisburg Education Association says they would like to see, comprised of board members, administrators, teachers, parents, and even the community. And while they say their voices were heard tonight,
actions speak louder than words. We know we need these things. I know it takes time, but we need to do it faster. We need to get these kids the help that they need more quickly.
I was going to share with you our continued effort to reduce violence in our city. I've shared with you our violence reduction program. When I first came into office, I gave you an update on our violence reduction, but I can tell you that violence in the city is out of control. And so what I've said to my police department, my commissioner, we must do everything we can. We've already hit something like 303 murders in this city, which is just totally unacceptable. And I want everybody in every neighborhood in this city to know that I am extremely concerned and focused on reducing violence in Baltimore City.
So the mayor of Baltimore declares an emergency, says she's going to meet with her department heads every damn day until we get this crime under control. After laboring mightily for almost 6 weeks now, since she made that proclamation that Baltimore's out of control, something we've been saying here for 6 years, after laboring mightily, they have brought forth a mouse. Here's the big solution. Ready? Baltimore County pilot program aims to reduce the number of people in jail before trial. People in the city have convinced the people who run the jails and the judges and the prosecutors that the solution to crime is letting people out of jail. Because putting black people in jail when they commit crimes, that causes crime. This, of course, is the same thing they're doing in Chicago, where the crime in Boys Town is reaching epic record levels, tripled in the last 3 years. Even as the jail population is at an all-time low because they just don't want to put black people in prison and in jail for committing crimes anymore. Listen, nobody's hiding it. They're saying it in public. That's why Kim Foxx, the state's attorney, the district attorney of Cook County, that's why she was elected with the full support, the full-throated support of Black Lives Matter. If you scan the headlines for this kind of story, you'll see in this morning's paper, maybe a few days ago, as you watch this video, you'll see that in New York, they're touting an incredible decrease in crime in New York. Well, we've already exposed that dodge. I should say we. When I mean we, I mean the New York Times and us. Front page story, New York Times. They're just not arresting people in New York anymore. It's really hard to get arrested in New York City. And it's all about the numbers. The numbers go up. The numbers are going down while the crime's going up, more and more people saying, what's happened to our city? What happened to our school? Why can't we get this criminality under control? And the only answer they get is, we can't arrest our way out of this mess, or we have too many people in jail, so let's let them out. Because no matter what the hell happens to crime, no matter how deeply it is out of control all over the country, not just these 5 places, letting black people out of jail is guaranteed not to make the black kids angry.